Hi crafters and welcome. So when you are watching this, it will be Sunday, January 25th, but I am recording it a little bit before midnight, so just so you know. Going to talk about blending today. Blending is a fun technique. I'm just going to cut this in half so I have some panels that we can work off of. So that's all I'm doing right now. And I'm hoping that the shadows from my light aren't too bad. Okay. There are a lot of different blending brushes out on the market. Stampin' Up! Carries two different sizes. They carry the large and the small. The large head and the small head. Now, if you got the advent calendar from late last year, there was also a smaller detail brush that we were given in that. So I don't know if that's a sneak peek of what might be coming up. Who knows? But we did get one inside the advent calendar. So food for thought. All right, let's talk about blending. There's many different ways you can blend. You can blend a complete background. You can blend inside of a like a die cut. You can use it to mask off an area so you can blend around it, or you can use our masks and blend with that. So in these there's a lot more things you can do, but in these technique videos I usually stick with 3 different items. All right, first and simplest, let's blend a background. Few basics about blending. I tend to have a blending brush per family color. I don't have one for every single color because I'm not going to have 50 some brushes. All right, that's just not me. Oh, I'm not wearing my ring. It's in the cleaning solution, so we'll get it later. All right, so I have a brush per like the rainbow color, the Roy G. Biv. All right, so when you go to blend, usually blending works better with a large pad. You can do it with your little baby spots, and I'll show you that, the ink spots. But the best results, you do get it with a big pad. So we're going to rub the brush on there. The more you press on your head, the darker your blending will be. The lighter pressure, lighter colors. I like to build up layers of colors instead of getting all blotchy. And I always kind of go off to the side a little bit before I go to my paper. And as you can see, I am starting off of the paper and going onto it. Now, I tend to go mostly in the counterclockwise, but you should always go clockwise too, just so you catch those edges. Now, with my light, I'm not sure how well you'll see that, but you can see that yellow coming through. If I want it a little darker, I'm going to go ahead and ink it up some more. I always take a little off just so it doesn't get splotchy. Because if you go directly to your paper first, or you start right on your paper instead of starting on your edge, you're going to get blotches. All right. I don't know what that is. All right, so now you can see we're building up more of that color. All right, so let's put the yellow away for just a little bit. Now I'm going to go to my next color. This is Crushed Curry. I am using, even though this is a darker yellow, I'm using it as an orange, only because I feel like it's leaning more towards the orange look. All right, so let's go on there. Again, take some of that off. See how strong that is? And I'm going to start off and go onto my paper. And then coming back and going clockwise and counterclockwise. All right. Now, without re-inking this, I'll come back in with this just to smooth out that line so you don't have a harsh line on there. I usually will do that with the lighter color, not the darker color, because that darker color is going to be more likely to have or create that line. Now I'm going to Flirty Flamingo. Ooh, my Flirty Flamingo may need re-inking. All right, again, going off, not starting right on the page. And I'm going to turn this to the side just so I can get a little bit more perspective on it. All right, let me bring it up here. I'm really sorry. Let me see if I turn on this light over here, if that helps a little. Oh, that might. But it's going to give a shadow now. So for me, the pink is really there, but it's not showing up well on camera. At least on my tablet, it's not. On the computer, on the actual screen, it might be showing up fine. So let me finish this by going clockwise and counterclockwise. I come back over here and use this. I didn't re-ink it, just using it to smooth out that line. All right, let me run over to my computer just a second and see if you can see that pink on there. So my tablet is not showing up. Oh, you can see it. All right, sounds good. So that's blending a background. All right. All right. Now the next thing. Let's go ahead. I'm going to take a piece of typing paper, copier paper, whatever you want to call it. And I am going to punch out a circle. Because let's say I want to do a background, but I want my greeting in the middle to be plain so that it shows up more. What I'm going to do then, oops, let me wipe this off really quick. We have a lot of ink on here, so let's get some of this off. All right, hang on. Let me grab my little alcohol spritz really quick. A little bit of glue on there too. All right, got that off. All right, on here, no, I'm not going to tape it down. You could use like your little, you could use some, I have my repositionable up there. Let me put it here. You could take a piece of repositionable. Let me take the backing off. And use that to hold your die in place on your die cut. All right, so we have that there. Now here, you could actually start right on that circle if you want to. I still like to take some off here. And what I'm doing is I'm just going around that circle, and let's go both ways. That way you catch those edges, of course. And the only reason I'm starting right on my card is because that paper is masking off that center. So it's not blotchy on my background. All right, let's go ahead and let's go back to crushed curry. And again, I'm going to go here to get a little bit of that ink off. But I'm going to come back over here now. And I'm just going to go ahead and twist that around so we can get all the way around there. And now let's go counterclockwise so we get all of those edges on there. And now let's just go back around here just to smooth that out so there's no harsh lines between the colors. Take this off And now, can you see you have that blended background and you have this area in the middle where you can stamp your word, like, or here, look at this. This is an old, look at that. That's a Stampin' Up! Dragonfly from, what does that say, 2007? It's a little hard, so it may not stamp well. But if you know me, I love my dragonflies. So, not sure how well this will go. Ah, looks all right. That wing's a little fuzzy there. I might have to put some, oh, I just lost the word. Glycerin. Yes, glycerin on there. That helps to soften up that rubber that is now well over 18 years old. All right, put it back over there. I always have it on the side here. That way I can grab it whenever I want to. All right, so there's masking with your blending. All right, and the last thing I want to show you, now with the masking too, you could take Post-it notes and you could do stripes going across, or you could do your stripes this way and then go this way and try a plaid. Lots of things you can do. Last one I'm going to show you is masking or blending with the mask. Now, what I like about this one, let me see, because this is, if I remember right, this is a pretty big set. So these are all layered and numbered. But let's say, and I was hoping, you know what, let me grab, no, we'll just do it. We'll just keep it this way. All right, so you always want to make sure that you keep your notch in the same area and that you see the numbers. So I'm going to have the notch over here. I don't know if you can see, yeah. So you see how that's number 1. Can you see that? See number 1 there? Okay. Oh, I had it upside down. Now you can see it. There you go, number 1. So what I like to do, again, I'll take my repositionable, and usually I'll do a bigger one, or I'll use a sticky mat. Stampin' Up! Doesn't carry sticky mats, but there's lots of sticky mats out there in the world that you can grab. Also, if you have one of our background stamps that's a full photopolymer, you can use that as a sticky or grip mat. All right, so I am going to go ahead and put this down so it's kind of straight there. And then I am going to take this and I am going to make a little tiny mark. Let me grab one of my dry erase ones. And I'm just going to put that little mark there. And then I'm going to also do this just so I know where my corners are at. All right. And I'm not going to do all the layers. I won't do the leaf part. I'm just going to do the flowers. So that's going to be 1, 2, and 3. Let's see, is this one? Oh, I can't even read. That's 2. Can you see the 2 there? And here's 3. What I haven't done on this one yet, because truth be known, I couldn't find mine. So I actually, this is my second time buying this stencil set. So see how I just took a marker, usually I'll use a Sharpie, and just colored over it, because since that's engraved in, it'll keep that number up. So then you can see it. So here we have 2, here we have 1. Let me grab. There you see 2, there you see 1. A little bit easier to read. All right, so I have that lined up. I'm going to take my lightest one and I'm going to hold it. You could, again, tape it down even more if you want to. I don't mind holding it. And I'm not going to reload these. I'm just going to use the ink. Oops, I just moved it. Use the ink that's on there. So I don't know if you can see it, but it's very, very light. Then I'm going to take two. Again, I'm going to line that up there, line it there. But usually you can look through and see, oh, that does line up with what I already have down. So let's just go ahead and do this. Again, on these stencils, you want to go both directions. And I feel like that just moved, so I don't know how beautiful this is going to look. Yeah, it moved. All right, this is why a grip mat helps, or taping it down helps. Who would have guessed? I'm going to use the edge of my brush a little bit here. All right. So, like I said, I didn't use all 4 stencils, but you can see there's that image starting to come through. And if we used all 5, I guess, there's 5, it would create that flower pattern. All right, so those are, Stampin' Up! Calls them masks, but they're stencils. They're layering stencils, which is the more common term out there in the bigger marketplace. All right, let me take off that. So, oh, one thing I didn't show you. So, the little brushes. Little brushes are great when you have the smaller area. So, like when I got here to number 3, I could have actually used the little brush because it will give you, and let me see if I have any color left on this one. It will give you a little more direct contact. Because it's more condensed. So I feel like you can get more, you don't get as much surface area, but I feel like you get more distinct because it is a smaller head, same bristles, but it's just, to me, it's more compact, so it seems like you get more of a good coverage for small detail areas. Sorry, my printer was turning off over here on me. So it must have been 30 minutes since I last printed something. So that tells me, yeah, probably time to go to bed because it's after midnight. All right, so here we go. Here's just blending a background. Now with these, you do want to use a smooth cardstock. You can, if you've run these through embossing folders, you can use the brushes to try to go lightly over the raised areas. But I would say that if you've gotten cardstock from a big box type of craft store, it may not be as smooth as like the Stampin' Up! Basic White is. So it really ends up blending well. So there we have those. Here's your background. Here's your spotlight technique or your silhouette technique. And here we used masks. So that's just a quick view of blending and how you can use your brushes, whether you have the large size or the more small, the mini size. Whether you have either of these, just some quick techniques to show you how to get the most out of your brushes. And like I said, you can use, let me just grab one of these. Did it happen? Oh, I got pumpkin pie. So where did my orange go? So here's pumpkin pie. If you don't have the full-size brushes and you want to use your spots, the best thing I can tell you is to rub this lightly over your bristles. Don't press down because these spots don't have as much glue. There's less surface here, so less glue, so it's more likely, in my opinion, to possibly rip. Oh, let me take off this because this wouldn't be good to blend over. So you know what? Maybe I'll put this one. So I have that. This is that spot. And let's just go like this. I don't feel like it's as smooth. I think with a spot, that's why you want to rub it on there so it's more likely not to have like lines or globs of it. But if you went to the spot directly, you're more likely, here, let me show you. If you took this to the spot, you were like this, you're probably not going to get the whole head of the brush on there. You're probably going to hit the edge at one point because the head of the brush is bigger than the spot. That's why I said go ahead and rub it lightly, not hard. You don't need, I barely did it and there's a lot of ink on there. But if you're using your spots, and I didn't start off on the edge, so it could be a little bit blotchy there. You want to go like that. And there you go. So if you're using your spots, spot to the brush. Don't go brush to the spot. But if you're using a large stamp pad, you can rub your brush right into the stamp pad itself. And you're going to get more even coverage. All right. Now I think that's it, guys. All right. Thanks for watching. Give me that thumbs up if you don't mind, and have a great Sunday. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.